So, I just have a few series of questions. Tas, sagutin nyo lang yes in your mind. You know, just in your mind. Keep note. Are you always late to school? Do you struggle to meet deadlines? Do you feel like you talk too much? Do you have difficulty sustaining attention? Do you get distracted easily? Are you reluctant to engage in tasks that require sustained mental effort? Do you often lose necessary things and forgetful in daily activities? If you're like me, I'm sorry, but I have something to tell you. It might be ADHD. And that whole list was actually from the criteria that I met for when I got diagnosed with ADHD, with predominantly inattentive presentation. My therapist even described it as severe, because actually you only need 6 symptoms to meet, and I got 9. So ADHD, or attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, is marked by a persistent pattern of inattention and or hyperactivity impulsivity that interferes with functioning or development. And it can be categorized by 3 presentations: inattentiveness, hyperactivity, and either a combination of both. I have inattentiveness. And despite the name, ADHD isn't actually about a deficit in attention, but actually about the difficulty regulating it. People with ADHD suffer with something that's called executive dysfunction. Executive dysfunction is like trying to ask your brain if you could do a task. Executive dysfunction simply means that the part of our brain that regulates our emotions, thoughts, and actions is disrupted and doesn't function like other brains. And to help you guys understand better, I like to say that ADHD is like trying to ask your brain if you could do this task, and it answers, you can, but you might not. Bastos, diba? And an ADHD brain is like a Ferrari. It's fast, but it also has bicycle brakes. It's fast, cool, and all that, but has very little to no ability to stop or control it. And ultimately, it ends in a crash. Or, it's like living like a fork when life is soup. No soup for me, I guess. So I have ADHD, and I know very well what it's like. I was diagnosed very late into my life. It was only in 2022. When I told all of my friends about it, literally no one was surprised. Ang reaction nila was something like, no shit. And none of them were shocked. But growing up without knowing that meant that a lot of these ADHD traits that I have were often considered by myself, friends, parents, sometimes as quirks, but mostly as personality defects. Because you see, whenever a person without ADHD forgets something sometimes, it can be excused. But when it happens a lot, and it happened a lot, to someone else, it may seem like I don't care, or that I'm not trying hard enough, or that I'm not even that capable to begin with. Kaya kanina, nakalimutan ko i-print yung bio note ko bago ako pumunta dito. Pero nagawa naman. I can live. And growing up not knowing I have ADHD meant that I would grow up blaming myself for it and believing all the things that society or the people around me often tell me. Which is that I'm smart but so lazy. Nasayang yung talino ko because I don't look like I work hard enough. Na, in that voice, discipline lang anak, you just need to focus. And mahirap ba maging on time for once, or that I just need to get organized. My ADHD is a hurdle, made even more challenging by these cultural misconceptions and just a general lack of awareness. I was smart and kinda regarded as normal enough, but on the inside, hearing the words they always tell me, I had conflicting feelings about myself and never feeling like I have reached my full potential. And for the longest time, I believed all of that and I hated myself for it. Before my diagnosis, I was depressed and highly demotivated. I was living a life that was not designed for me. This academic system isn't designed for me. And I didn't know how to help myself. The people around me didn't know how to help me either. My smarts wasn't enough to get me through college anymore. It was the pressure of trying to live like a normal person that I forced myself to apply myself the same way that I see my friends do. But I can't. It doesn't work. As you see, even when I tried to look for things that worked for me in my brain, it is hard to do things the ADHD way because society now suffers from what Salif Mahamani likes to call PUD, or PUD, Uniformity Disorder. Because society is so obsessed with doing things a certain way, it likes to punish or shame the people who do things differently. And I'd like to propose that maybe if such strict standards didn't exist, we would feel less shame for functioning the way we do. Because the shame and self-loathing shouldn't have been part of my experience having ADHD. When people with ADHD are already so much more prone to developing depression and anxiety. And very understandably so. Because when society tells you that you are useless, incapable, lutang, sabog, and you believe it, then you are. But what if society had told me differently? I never thought I could bounce back from my misery until I realized that ADHD isn't something wrong with me or a disorder. It's just a difference in cognition, a different way of thinking. It is a different way of experiencing the world. That I didn't have to fight my own brain, to force myself to do the things that I need to. I had to work with it. That all the things that many people have said about me isn't a personality defect, but that I just had to learn how to work with my own brain. And it makes me think that maybe if we all had ADHD, I wouldn't have been told that ADHD is my flaw. Because you see, when people with ADHD are given the right tools and environment, they excel in the things they do. That despite societal pressures that work against us, many adults with ADHD can actually succeed by using effortful strategies of overcompensation, usually, and sometimes with the help of medication. As you see, ADHD-ers are adaptive. We are all very creative. Because the difference in cognition, it's definitely because we're weird, and then there's nothing bad about that. And struggling the way that we do with the want to be perceived as functional and normal, we make creative ways to cope with it. It's like how my impulsivity means that I am more comfy getting out of my comfort zone. That me hyper-focusing on my special interests mean that my passion is genuine. That my distractibility can mean that I can move on from negativity very quickly. And my dopamine-motivated brain means that I am calm and level-headed in stressful situations. Medyo hindi ngayon, pero like, guys get the point. And my restlessness or impatience for slow things mean that I prefer faster processes. A real-life example of this is probably my bio dad. He got a promotion. He used to suck at school, but when he started working in his special interest, which is computers, he got a promotion at his job at Google. And his boss said he did that because he is smart, but will always look for the easy way to do things because he is also very lazy. And he's just like me for real. And if we all had ADHD, we would have a world full of these creative people who look for different ways to do things, just like me and my dad. And just like these famous examples of ADHD-ers. We have Simone Biles and Michael Phelps. We have Greta Gerwig, Renee Rapp, Zooey Deschanel, Channing Tatum, and more, and madami actors actually. And then we also have the founder of IKEA and also Moira. Siya lang nakita ko sa Celebrities sa Filipino. And you see, these people, they are lucky enough to have the resources and the support system available to them, but not everyone. See, according to the Philippine National Council on Disability Affairs, the unmitigated conditions of ADHD may lead to increased out-of-school youth, drug abuse, child abuse, and neglect. And that 70% of juvenile offenders and 40% of adult prisoners were also found to have ADHD. And I am certainly one of the lucky ones to have found out just when I needed it. The worst consequences I have is nagkasing ko ako. You know? And then, maybe if we all have ADHD, we would be able to build a world that is flexible, that is not obsessed with uniformity, and conducive for ADHD brains. And all ADHDers are different, so really that means all types of brains. And with lots and lots of tools to be made available to help alleviate these symptoms. If we all have ADHD, maybe school doesn't have to be so boring. And when ADHD is the norm, nothing will be weird. We would all benefit from this, possibly even deconstructing societal norms as it is now. If we had a world filled with people with ADHD, these people who do not like monotony, repetitiveness, and slow processes, we would have a world of fun, flexibility, excitement, and creativity. But ultimately, maybe if we all have ADHD, we'd be able to understand each other's brains better, helping each other cope so that we may all reach our full potentials. Thank you.